Ruby Hinn has spent much of the last few weeks attending the funerals of Israeli hostages brought back under the Gaza ceasefire deal, waiting for the moment he could lay his own son to rest with the same dignity. And on Sunday, it was time to do just that, flanked by his wife and the rest of their family, burying soldier Itai Hinn in a service in Tel Aviv's north. The Hinn family have been amongst the most vocal, demanding an end to the war in Gaza and a return of all of the hostages held by Hamas. But their advocacy is taking a slightly different turn now, calling for a national commission of inquiry into the failures which allowed Hamas to launch its attacks more than 2 years ago, and promising not to rest until they get answers for their son, their family, and the country.
Here, over your grave, my dear son, Israel's hero. I promise you, mother, father and many others will pursue those who are guilty.
This is something the Netanyahu government has been criticised over for months now, and indeed there were more anti-government protests over the weekend, in part on this issue, but more broadly on what's being seen as a trampling of democracy by the Prime Minister and his right-wing government. There are grave fears that Mr Netanyahu is delaying any inquiry and is looking for ways to narrow the scope of a probe to limit his personal responsibility for anything which led to Hamas's deadly attacks, which killed around 1,200 people and led to 250 taken hostage. There are some Israeli hostages still in Gaza, although the body of one more has been brought back to Israel, identified as that of soldier Hadar Golden. His story is much older than that of the most recent war in Gaza. He was killed in Rafah in the south of the Strip back in 2014. Hamas saying his remains were discovered in a tunnel and they've undergone identification in Israel since. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledging the news of his return prior to that handover at the start of his weekly government meeting.
We said at the beginning of the war that we would return all the hostages without exception. 255 were kidnapped, including 4 who were kidnapped earlier. And so far, we have returned 250. We will bring them all back.
In terms of numbers, there has been another grim milestone in Gaza, with local health authorities confirming over the weekend the death toll is now in excess of 69,000 Palestinians. Hundreds of thousands are living in tent communities across Gaza, unable to return to what's left of their homes, and aid agencies are warning the flow of food and other supplies is still too slow. Israel insists it is allowing enough aid into the Strip, but the concerns here clearly spread beyond just the humanitarian community, with reports over the weekend that the United States will be stepping up and taking a greater role in not only monitoring, but deciding what aid does indeed enter the war-ravaged Strip.